Welcome everyone. My name is Gordon Hinkle and I'm the president of College Esports International, also known as CESI. And I'm super excited to be here today with my longtime friend, Donna Basic Tack Walters, who is the Cal State Esports Collective founder and just a longtime friend. We've done a lot of fun events together over the years. In fact, the last couple of years, we were proud to put on a tournament here in Sacramento, where we're both from, at the Golden One Center in partnership with the Sacramento Kings Guard, and to do a couple different games, both Rocket League and League of Legends. And Donna was one of our great commentators and shoutcasters for that event and did an amazing job. So I'm just so excited to be here today and want to thank the Riverside County Esports Symposium for allowing us this opportunity to share our experiences and information and knowledge that we have, having worked in the esports industry, entertainment industry, for quite a while, and also engaged in a lot of educational activities. So for all of those of you who do not know me, my name is Gordon Hinkle, and like I mentioned, I'm the president of the CESI, and we are very excited to share today our thoughts on career pathways through esports. And I think that this is something that's very, very important for us to discuss, especially when talking about the engagement with a number of the clubs around the country who are participating in esports. So a little bit about my personal background. I've been working as a communications director in education for a number of years, also as an executive at Hewlett-Packard for a number of years. So I do have a tech background. I also worked in government for a while, working as a staff for the governor's office, as a press secretary, both in the Senate and the Assembly, in the House of Representatives. So my background is is heavily involved in communications activity. So that's kind of my forte. Been very heavily involved with global industries, doing a lot of educational outreach on sports and entertainment. And that's how I got into esports a number of years ago. But really through the engagement of playing as a gamer myself with my kids. I have 3 kids, a daughter who's in college right now as a junior, another daughter who's a junior in high school, and a 12-year-old son in middle school. So a lot of my experiences come from that and from that background. Just a little quick background about CESI, and I'm going to turn over to Donna to introduce a little bit more about her background. But what we do at CESI is we actually create the platform for universities to be showcased and for esports clubs to be showcased. And a big part of our objective is to introduce those career opportunities that come along with esports. Beyond just doing fun events and tournaments and activations, we try to create a lot of tools and resources for the clubs, for the ability to connect them to industry leaders, to heads of industry and tech. A lot of fun new innovations that we're trying to create to help enhance the college esports scene. So with that, I'm going to just give Donna a couple of minutes to introduce herself and her background. Donna, why don't you share with our audience a little bit about what you do?
Thanks, Gordon. Really appreciate it. I am super, super excited to be here with all of you. Talking about esports, specifically with education, is my favorite thing to do. So super excited. I am the founder and executive director of a nonprofit organization called College Esports, similar to Gordon's, but we work really more on the educational side of things, and we are a nonprofit organization. We are also home to the Cal State Esports Collective, and I'll go into that in just a little bit here to show you what we do there. But primarily, I grouped together with a team of other student leaders. I grouped together all 23 of the California State universities and their esports communities, and then brought them into a single Discord server. So that way, we can really start exchanging information, networking, connecting student leaders. And we really take more of a hybrid approach between like student government and some of the traditional esports spaces, and bring those all together to provide experiential learning opportunities. I am also a national event speaker and panel moderator. I advise K through 12 and higher education spaces on a global level. So across California, both Northern and Southern California, across the nation, and also on a global level. I also champion initiatives for top tier events and brands. And so you can look at some of the brands that I've worked with over here on the right are some of those logos. And I also really like to focus on building those positive spaces. So that way we can provide equitable opportunities for all students, regardless of their status, and then make inclusive spaces. So that way everybody can feel like they belong. So again, super, super excited to be here today. Thank you so much for having me. As far as college esports, the nonprofit organization side goes, our goal really is to be the one-stop shop to bring everybody together and provide resources from industry best. So we want to support those educators and the community leaders who are navigating some of these educational spaces and bringing in ways to gamify education. So we do this through those hands-on learning opportunities, like I had mentioned before, go through developing the K through 12 curriculum for after-school programs, and then making sure that we're connecting with authentic brands and vetting some of those brands to really keep our community secure and moving in the right direction for what's best for not only the students, but what's also best for the esports industry as a whole. We like to really promote that positive and inclusive gaming spaces. So you can see some of the organizations that we work with, which are the Game Hers, who focus on female and female identifying gamers and lifting them up. They just actually had a great award ceremony that just took place. We also work with Able Gamers. And so Able Gamers is another nonprofit organization that's specifically designed to work with different gamers of different abilities, both on the cognitive and the physical ability spectrum. Coalition of Parents in Esports, or COPE. They really support parents and conversations between parents and youth. And then NACAD, which is the National Association of Esports Coaches and Directors. There's a lot of acronyms here you're going to find out. So they support, the program directors and the coaches. So we work together to really bring and unify everybody in this space.
Yeah, and Donna, before you go into a look ahead, I want to share a little bit how Donna and I came to work together is because I think of our love for the students being able to get more out of esports than just the actual gameplay. We all love to play games, and the esports tournaments are so much fun, but we both have a passion for showcasing how esports can lead to not only a career pathway or area of interest, but also has a lot of personal growth areas too, where it helps the students connect and feel like a belonging. And I think we all experienced that over the last few years with the pandemic, and esports really became a shining light area for kids to connect, and trying to create safe spaces for them to do that, I think is really important for us to all kind of band together on the education side to say, hey, this is a place where you can hone in on your skills, whether it's in communication, creating presentations. I'm always amazed when I see the students jump on Discord and start organizing just like the snap of a finger, like you do this, I'll do that, I'll take this, I'll take care of the photography, I'll take care of setting up the feed, and they just jump in and start to work a lot of teamwork. And you see that teamwork, and that's something that Fortune 500 companies are looking for. They're looking for that ability to be quick thinking and to make snap judgments and to be creative. And that's what you see in the esports community. And I'm sure Donna can attest to that as well. Like we see
Absolutely
so much creativity and innovation that comes forward. And so we're going to share a little bit about that today through this presentation. So Donna, I'll let you go back into your look ahead.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Gordon. So we're going to go over, like what Gordon was saying, the makeup of esports, 4 cornerstones of esports in education, career opportunities in esports, and then what the next steps are that you can take essentially. So I always like to build in some audience engagement. We are educators. We always like to try to do this because we know that attention span can be a little bit short when you're just sitting there listening to presentations. So my question to you is, what is the correct way to abbreviate electronic sports? Go ahead and type it in the chat now. We're going to give it just a moment because we do have a short amount of time. I'm seeing it coming in.
I think we need the Jeopardy music right here, Donna.
Oh, Peter, I love it. Esports are esports, but not esports. Okay. S for Scholastic. Lovely. All right, fantastic. So yeah, so this is the reason why I like to ask this question. And it's because Associated Press actually said the correct way to spell esports is either just like what Peter was saying, esports or esports, but not esports, meaning we want to make sure that we're using the capitalization rule, right? So capital E at the beginning of a sentence, in a title, lowercase e if it's going to be in the middle, never a big S, never a hyphen. So really just kind of look at how you spell email, and then, or how it's evolved. So that we're going through a very similar structure as to, if you all remember back when email just popped up, and all the conversations around that, that's very similar to what we see here in esports. I love it. Educational sports. That's actually pretty good.
The capital E and the dash and the underscore and all that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So why is it important? It's important because esports is very special in that we have a bunch of nuances that can really help organizations either achieve a make or break situation, right? And funny enough as it is, the spelling of esports is one of those situations. So a brand that's been in this industry from inception or for a really long time, if they come across your brand and your brand is spelled either with a capital S or with a hyphen or some other way other than what we just described, then they're going to take a second look at that brand and see, oh, okay, is this a brand that really understands, I blame Apple too. Is this a brand that really understands the space, or are they just kind of coming in to take advantage and monopolize because this is now almost a $3 billion industry, right? And so we're looking at some of those specialties. So just to let you know, make sure that you are, and I know Associated Press says that, in your brand, if it's spelled with a capital S, it's okay. You could, however, I am going to tell you that, a lot of other brands that are in this space currently, they and really pay attention to that, they will second guess if you are an authentic brand or not. So next thing, real quick, what is the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the word esports? I'll give it just a moment here because I know that it can be belonging. Okay. Team building, fun. What else? Competitive gaming, champions, gaming. Fantastic. So this is actually really good. We're starting to see progress now because give about maybe 2 years ago, even just as recent as that, you would see things like, mom's basement or, not in shape or, things like loser or, these real negative stereotypes, which are really just not true anymore. Right. And so I like to really bring to the attention that when we're looking at the makeup of esports, it consists of everybody. Now, there's all different types of people. I'm a gamer myself, and I've played Battlefield, the Battlefield franchise, which is a first-person shooter, right? So I used to play that with somebody that was 78 years old, and so now that's stereotype no longer exists. So I always like to talk about stereotypes and try to show like, hey, games are everybody. Makeup of esports and gaming, this often gets confused, right? So esports are actually multiplayer video games played competitively for spectators. Gaming is the act of playing video games against those other players or NPCs, which are non-playable characters, non-player characters. So basically your computer.
Yeah, I like this one, Donna, because I get a lot of people still to this day saying, well, isn't esports just video games that are sports-based games? I get that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I get it too, right? Or I'll get what are esports, right? So I always like to define that as well. But yeah, absolutely, Gordon. So when we're looking at esports and gaming, one of the things that educators can really gain a lot of value from understanding is the difference between those two entities, right? Because the gaming community encompasses everybody, esports players and casual gamers. But when you're building your programs and your initiatives on campus, if you're only focusing on the esports crowd, which is the competitive gamer, you're missing out. You're only focusing on just a small portion of the gaming population on your campus. If you can focus on the gaming community as a whole and bring in some of that competitive element, you're going to be so much more successful because, as you can see in this iceberg, the gaming community makes up the majority of the interest, not just competitive esports.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of looking at the breakdown of makeup of esports and what is it, we're looking at borrowing from multiple fields and business models. So it appears to be something that's very easy to grasp and an easy industry to get into. But once you get into this industry, you start finding out that, oh, okay, yeah, it looked like this business model, but now I'm starting to see something different. And then it gets a little bit overwhelming for some people. And so it really pays to either get somebody in the space that understands the space truly, or maybe start learning and investigating on what that space actually entails. So if you're looking from borrowing from multiple fields and business models, athletics, there's that competitive environment or the competitive aspect. Entrepreneurship, which goes into education and career building. We'll go into that later. Entertainment, you see on Twitch streams, which is the live streaming of video game content, that's happening all the time too. That's a good source of entertainment. Or events, kind of like what Gordon had mentioned that he and I work on. And then also grassroots community building. This community is so incredibly focused on lifting each other up. It's incredible. And there are some negative stereotypes that are actually being debunked. It's not as toxic of a space as a lot of people think it is, but we can go into that later as well. It has a dedicated and passionate fan base right about that high school, college age, right? So underrepresented groups, people who feel like they don't always fit into those traditional constructs, or maybe don't fit into, they feel like they fit into athletics or Greek life. Going to an esports community or gaming community, now they feel like they have a place that they can belong. So it doesn't take away from those other communities. It actually provides a third option for students on your campus to really gain a sense of belonging, which is extremely important. True grassroots efforts. So very similar to maybe like the skateboarding community, the gaming and esports communities are very, very protective of the space. They value partnerships and loyalty over sponsorships and sales. So really, entities that are commercially focused are not going to be very successful. And so that's one of the things I love about working with Gordon, is that he really, wants to build things from the grassroots community, from the foundation up. I'm going to pass it back over to Gordon here to talk about the market opportunity as well.
Thank you, Donna. That's great. And I want to kind of build off of that just by talking a little bit about what does that market opportunity look like. And so we talked about, just how enormous the growth for esports has become in recent years. So it's estimated to be a $196 billion industry globally, which now we're seeing it's overtaken the movie industry, the music industry. There's over 1.5 billion gamers since 2015. So the market is enormous. And one thing that we've noticed again over the last few years is that during times where Hollywood had slowed down, even some of the music industry had to slow down because of COVID, we saw that the gaming started to kind of carry the Hollywood industry. And so the market opportunity is just continually increasing. And I think now even traditional sports are seeing that in order for them to survive, they have to be able to connect well with the gamers and where the young people are going. And so something that we do at CESI is kind of build off of what is that university impact, what is the college impact, what's the role there for colleges to play a part in the growth of this industry, because we think it's really important. I think something that most people who are privy to the gaming industry also realize is that the pro esports teams are now recruiting at a really young age. Their kids coming right out of high school, even sometimes middle school if they're like phenoms. And so what has kind of happened is you get this weird situation where a lot of times the pros are going from high school to pro and then sometimes back to college. And so, but there's also this really heavy interest or need to connect to the college communities, because there is a strong gaming community at the university level and they don't want to be left out. And these are the students who are watching the pro athletes play. So they're basically helping build that pro industry because of their engagement. So they cannot be ignored. So something we've tried to do at CSI is help to become a leader in putting on high quality tournaments and events for those college students. Whether or not they're going to go on to be pro or not is not even so important to us. Some of them may, some of them may not. Probably the majority will not, but it's still a huge interest area for other students to have pride in their schools and to also to follow the games that they love. So the games themselves become very critical and key into the interest level. We also know that unlike traditional sports at the college level, NCAA does not have really much say over the games because they don't own the games. So it's hard for them to create rules and regulations over activity that they have no control over. So what we do is we work closely with the leagues, the nonprofit leagues and partners who are already doing this, and we try to help build them up, give them resources, make them shine, let the teams who are winning in the different leagues out there for the collegiate level to kind of rise to the top and be recognized for what they're doing. And then we always try to bring in an educational component alongside of those events to talk about, again, the industry connectivity part of it. So we also know that there's not enough useful platforms for all the schools, and there's also not a kind of equal playing field with all universities. A lot of schools have a lot of resources and backing of their faculty and administration. Other schools do not. That doesn't mean that they might not be competitive. Some of the best competitive teams we've seen have very little support from their administrations, but they're so passionate about it that they just have created powerhouse teams at different universities throughout the country. And that's exciting. We want to say, hey, look at what these guys are doing. Look, talk to their faculty and talk to their administration, say that this can be a very positive thing for your school, for recruitment, very positive for connectivity, very positive for industry growth. And so that's kind of what we try to build off of, is kind of showing that market opportunity at the collegiate level, and how it really ties from the high school all the way up through opportunities for scholarships now, even to go to university and play. And then
Absolutely.
even those potential that go directly to play for pro, or even if they don't play professionally, they may want to work for a pro team or one of those teams that are doing exciting things. A lot of them are hiring IT specialists or streaming specialists or support partners, or even practice team partners. So there's so much growth area.
Yes, absolutely. And Gordon, I love that you touched on the NCAA. Just to be very clear, NCAA does not oversee esports. So there is no governing body over college esports at this time, because like Gordon was saying, the game developers are the ones that own the games. So definitely something to keep in mind. You're not restricted by NCAA standards. And it actually could be better, specifically because, esports is one of the only, entities that allows for co-ed competition, right? So you can have female players and male players all playing together. So phenomenal way to grow the space in an equitable and inclusive fashion. So moving on to the 4 cornerstones of esports and education. So this is really what holds esports on campuses together, right? And it should be a broad way to really involve students, because remember, we talked about some of those competitive aspects, but we also talked about the community building aspects. So when it comes to community, you're looking at best practices. We are in the internet age. The people that are going to middle schools and high schools and colleges now have pretty much grown up with the internet always. I didn't always grow up with the internet, so I know the time before that, which is showing my age, but best practices for internet usage has not necessarily been instilled in the general population or society. So having esports and gaming programs on your campuses is actually really beneficial for the overall social welfare, specifically because by implementing certain rules and regulations for you to be able to, or a student to be able to belong to an esports and gaming entity on the campus, they have to, if you set the rule and the expectation that they have to behave in a socially acceptable and appropriate way, no slurs and things like that while they're gaming in these games and online spaces, you can actually reduce the toxicity that's overall in the social media environment, online spaces. So something to consider. Friendly rivalry, right? Sac State versus UC Davis, for example, has a Causeway Classic for their football team. Now we're forming something like that over at Gordon's new brick and mortar place.
Yeah, we just did a competition, and
yep.
that was amazing. And so, yeah, you're seeing those rivalries for traditional colleges now flow over into the esports world, which is really cool.
Yeah, so fantastic opportunity, but that bleeds into competition, right? So competition, you're looking at that friendly rivalry again. So you're building community while making a competitive environment, and then you're also engaging students. Now they're wanting to participate. It's a really great opportunity for other students to perform while other students watch, right? So different roles. Entertainment. So again, student engagement. How are we engaging students? We're bringing in entertainment aspects to and gamifying education. And then that brings us over to the education and career side
Can I
of
just say
things.
something really quick on
Absolutely.
on the gamification? I think that is really going to be something you see more of. In fact, our keynote today was just kind of touching a little bit about that. And we're working with some partners right now at the charter school level that are doing some really creative things like using gamification to teach, especially with an influx of immigrants coming into California where we live. There's the huge need to quickly get people up to speed on what's happening so they can get jobs, so they can understand technology, and they're using games in order to teach them. It's just really incredible stuff to see.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I am going to show everybody a video, but I would like to announce that there is a trigger warning for self-harm. I do advise that you mute if you feel like you may be affected. So we want to be sensitive to all of our audience members. But we're going to go ahead and get playing. This is a real testimonial.
Hey, I'm Justice Harry, also known as Ziri. Competitive gaming has been really important to me because when I was younger, I was really depressed and suicidal, as I had a hard time making friends and I didn't really feel like I was good at anything. So I hid away from the real world by playing video games all day, and esports was a way for me to channel my coping into a healthy hobby, as my desire to get better at the game helped push me to better myself and to make friends in the process, as well as giving me the confidence to improve in other areas of my life by seeing the progress I made in game. My time in the Super Smash Bros. Melee community has pushed me to become someone I can be proud of. I've learned how to take care of myself, I've learned how to socialize, and I've learned how to channel my growth into a career as a streamer and a gaming coach. And I believe esports deserves more support as it can give other people hope and save lives.
So that's an individual that I had worked with, and gaming actually really did save his life. So I'm going to bring it back over to Gordon. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said, no, that's very powerful. And in fact, I want to kind of use that as kind of to talk about the safety side of things too, because one of the questions we get a lot from parents who don't understand esports, or if they're asking us about, should I let my kids play in the high school team or their middle school team? And I'm always a definite yes, with the caveat that they have great supervision and creating those safe spaces. So we're working with a ton of different partners who have made that a priority, is to make sure that there is no abusive kind of like demeaning of other players, and to make sure somebody's moderating or kind of overseeing. So once the students are able to engage in those communities, it's amazing to see how they flourish, how they build friendships, how those go on to help them decide on career paths. So we've had testimonials too of students who play different games who now want to become engineers or game designers because of their interest in the games that they're playing, and they see that that's something they have a talent for. So yeah, I think it's critical to understand the safety and to promote the safety in the gaming from whatever angle you're coming from, especially when we're talking about how this can be advantageous towards career pathways.
Absolutely. So Gordon has actually, with CESI, has put on several really amazing things. I've launched the inaugural Esportspreneur Expo. That was a speaker series. So these are just a couple of the headlines from those different events that we've each worked on together and separately. And so Gordon, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, no, thank you, Donna. And so these were some really fun events we did. And I think I mentioned early on is that I kind of got into esports through, traditional entertainment world. I was working through many projects in Asia with our company there. And then we were introduced to the Themed Entertainment Association, and constantly at all the different educational programs we were putting on related to entertainment, esports kept coming up. And this was like 10, 15 years ago. So we put a heavy investment into looking into what kind of activities we could engage with. And being in Sacramento, we developed this great partnership with the Sacramento Kings and the Kings Guard Gaming, because we had done some actual basketball events and helped bring basketball to China markets and things like that in Shanghai. And so having worked at that level and seeing that this huge interest in what was happening with esports, we decided to put on a couple of collegiate tournaments and then also showcase what was happening at the pro level here in Sacramento. And that's where Donna and I really started to connect in putting on those events due to her skill sets as a broadcaster and shoutcaster, working in those. We did some fun tournaments over the last couple of years that really took off and helped us kind of build the platform for our company, which is to showcase the collegiate tournaments and the growth opportunities in industry through gaming opportunity. And I'm going to give you a quick story before you go into your next question, Donna. One of my favorite moments at our event was I had a parent from one of the competitors from Loyola Marymount last year. We did a little reception after the first day of our tournament, and the parent came and said, "Hey, Mr. Hinkle, can I talk to you?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on? What happened?" Thinking the worst, right? Well, he kind of pulled me to the side. And he said, "I came up to Sacramento and I was going to tell my son, you need to quit gaming and this nonsense with video games and start focusing on what you want to do in life." He goes, "But now that I see the amazing opportunity, the connections to industry, the literally the dozens of like high-tech partners that are involved that come and pay interest in these activities, I'm more encouraged and excited than ever." I'm telling him to get more involved. And then the following year, that same student was a captain of the team and was helping lead the team. So that really was a big moment and kind of a turning point for me to see that, hey, we're having an impact not only on the students, but the parents in educating them. And I know that's something Donna works at too, is helping educate parents on what is esports, what is gaming, how can this benefit your student. So that's the kind of the positive story we want to replicate year in and year out.
Absolutely. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to quickly go through this question here, which is what career opportunities are in esports and gaming? If you have an idea, then go ahead and pop it in the chat just real quick. I want to leave enough time at the end for questions for you all as well.
So my favorite one I heard recently was avatar model.
Oh, that's a newer one. That's awesome. Shoutcasting is good. Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe one or two more. 3D modeling. Agent, lawyer. Oh, these are really good. You all are on it. Content creator. Fantastic. Well, here is, so I'll let Gordon explain it, but here's a chart with just a few, and these are not all of them.
Just a
so
few, yeah.
Of the careers.
What I find exciting about this is whether it's shoutcasting or IT support or game design or videography or streaming. I mean, the amazing opportunities that exist. I think we alluded to earlier how really esports did carry the Hollywood industry for the last couple of years. Like if you look at the numbers, it really reflects that a lot of the experts who were shut down working on movie sets were going to work for games or creatives on different projects related to online activity. Yep. So I think that this is probably just a small sampling too. I'm sure there's literally dozens and dozens of different jobs, but we're seeing a lot of great things kind of rising to the top as far as just the skill sets, like I mentioned before, being able to set up your own server in Discord and set up a presentation to organize like play with your fellow students. That's a skill that can be used on pretty much any job, in creative thinking and planning and putting together project development. Those are the basic skills that are used in a lot of these different jobs that you see here, whether it's, being an industry leader for a Fortune 500 company, whether it's going into video design, whether it's going into game design. I just think that it's limitless, really. And so we've seen that firsthand. I've talked to a number of our champion players who played at our tournaments, and they're going on to be engineers, to work at theme parks, to do some amazing things. And a lot of those opportunities were created through their connections in esports. So
absolutely,
that's what really gets me excited.
Absolutely. And speaking of which, we're even taking it all the way down to middle school and high school levels when it comes to curriculum and learning and development, like we touched on earlier. Khalil Keys, who's heading up projects over at Gen G, who's also one of the speakers for this event, he and I are working together with a team to actually work with the Elk Grove Unified School District on developing curriculum for after-school programs for both middle school and high school. Yesterday, I am super, super proud to announce that that the middle school students actually executed their first event, which was a Mario Maker, which is one of the video games like Super Mario Brothers. You create a level. So they actually created a level, and then they organized an event where the rest of the school could come and test it out. So that was hugely successful. The principal was just so incredibly impressed because, yeah, these students did everything start to finish, planning, marketing, all of it, level design, all of it. It was incredible. So, don't discount the capabilities of your students. Absolutely. Moving into the value proposition. So basically the problem is higher ed and educational spaces in general, they're behind in a lot of the key areas of college experience. We're starting to see some of that ramping up, which I'm super happy about, because now we're seeing varsity programs and other collegiate esports initiatives that are popping up all over the country. We are losing student engagement, however, by not adopting these. So super important to start meeting where these students are. We are missing out on national recognition and funding. There are actual grants that are going out now for technology specifically to esports. So,
esports fits into STEM and STEAM, and I always try to remind people of that.
Yep, absolutely. So you're missing out on a section that you really haven't tapped into yet. So the vision is through esports, we want to engage students across all disciplines. You saw that chart of career paths. Again, that's not all encompassing, right? So there's so many other career paths that are possible. Do you need an esports degree? Not yet, maybe eventually. Certifications, those are kind of starting to come up, so I can see certifications, but maybe not the degrees yet. You can still build curriculum around traditional degree paths. And actually something I do recommend, because then what happens if the student decides, I don't want to do esports anymore? Well, maybe they did a business degree and now they can use their business degree to get another career or shift careers without having to go back to university. Something to consider as well. They can enhance the real world education through play. So again, experiential learning, hands-on learning. You can establish that unbreakable bond between the university and the community. Get your community members involved, get your local businesses involved. They want to sponsor events. They want to see their students succeed on these campuses and help raise those communities. Objective. We want to enrich student experiences internationally through esports. So Gordon and I are working on some type of like an exchange program where, we can really start looping together universities across the globe with universities here in the States to try to gain more experiential learning for our students. We want to provide those unique pathways and to careers and experiences. We want to add unmatched value to higher education. So those are the
I just want to mention real quick on that, Donna, real quick.
Yeah.
Because, the I in CSI is for international, and we are doing some projects with the Netherlands right now that we're hoping to showcase in 2023, maybe some interactives, also with Japan and also our friends in Canada. So be on the lookout. I'll be sharing more detail on that.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I'm super excited for that too. So the solution, basically, we want to utilize our network of endemic brands, right? So Gordon and I have a ton of folks that are across the network, both traditional environments and esports environments. We want to seek we seek support from campus leaders to execute those initiatives. So folks like you are the ones that really are the decision makers of your campuses and can utilize the powers that be, if you will, right, to bring this kind of content, this creative content to your student body. We want to collaborate with student leaders for success. I always advise faculty members and administrators, do not take a top-down approach. Have your students actively involved. Not only are they gaining real world experiences by doing that, but then you're also staying authentic and true to what the student actually wants and needs in your esports and gaming communities. So those are all things, but ultimately just get started. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just get started. So looking at the SWOT analysis, just super quick. Strengths, students are already invested. They're already playing games. They have unique insights. They have the drive. It's a drive that's unmatched, something I've never seen. Skills and knowledgeable contacts with people in the space. And then they have strong industry connections, right? So they're always out there playing these games, connecting with folks in the space. The weaknesses, they need your help. They're lacking official organization. They have limited support, little to no funding. Talk about the equitability and technology gap, right? And so, or is it the technology equitability gap? You all understand what I mean. It's split in uninformed communities. So as you can see, we're starting to get more on the same page, but stereotypes do still exist. And again, there's no governing body. So a couple opportunities, we're looking at underserved student populations, right? So folks that may not necessarily be, able to afford computers at home or the fast internet that it requires, but could still utilize your help and your assistance in order to make a space on campus where they can feel like they can actually advance in their careers or their interests. Brands are actively seeking entry. There are so many brands out there that want a piece of this esports pie that you are not tapping into right now. So it opens up university advancement to so many more sponsorship opportunities. There is an emerging need for unique opportunities. Students are thirsty for this. They really want this. And then there's that global recognition and media coverage. We showed you some headlines that we saw earlier. So that's just the start, really.
Yeah, and if
Go
I
ahead.
can add to that too. So and even now what I'm seeing since we have been building out CSI is that we're getting contacted without even advertising for opportunities to bring esports into the fold of different arenas. And the perfect one that's coming up as an example is the Super Bowl. I think we've gotten at least half a dozen invites to Super Bowl parties because they want to showcase esports and they're excited about what we're doing, but they don't understand it. So they want us to bring it, to show that, hey, we're part of the edgy, cool growth, of what's happening at the youth engagement level. So you are seeing this amazing opportunity unfolding. And so it really is an exciting time.
And how cool would that be to try to get your student groups a spot at a Super Bowl party, right? Like that's a networking extraordinaire. So it's exciting. It's exciting stuff. The threats, we're looking at emerging and current competitors. So there's lots of people popping into the space. Universities are now starting to get on board. So if you're not getting on now, and you wait till you get on later, you're going to be lost within the crowd when it comes to recruiting efforts for your students. New and quickly evolving industry. Higher education and education in general is a very traditional model that moves at a slow pace. Technology moves at a very fast pace. So there's some challenges there. I'm trying to make sure that everybody's in sync. The existing negative stigma. So again, those stereotypes, learning how to combat those stereotypes, learning how to educate people on how to act in social media platforms and online spaces. It is, again, easy to enter, but very difficult to understand. So it's good that you partner with people who really know the space very well.
Yeah, one of those negative stereotypes I think you even joked about earlier, Donna, was the sitting in the basement and eating junk food. That is something we're really trying to combat, because you would not believe how many of the athletes involved in esports are very conscious of their health. We're actually working with a group that is looking at healthy eating lifestyles and healthy choices for food. So that is a big kind of growth area too for esports, to showcase that a lot of these individuals take their gaming seriously and they take their health seriously, whether it's eye care or whether it's what they're eating or their exercise routine. So something we do is bring in professional trainers to talk about your ergonomic setup at your station. Are you doing some exercises in between, giving some examples of exercises they can do, giving
water.
them stay healthy, drink lots of water. That kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it's very critical that gets highlighted.
Absolutely. So next steps when it comes to operational growth, program tools. Today, get that dedicated space, create your branding. It's all the fun stuff. Get your business plan refined, right? How are you going to actually execute this and get those students involved? What's your vision and your mission looking like? Form your teams. Tomorrow, you're looking at scholarships, internships. There are already universities that have $10,000, $19,000 room and board scholarships, things like that. So those are the people that you're competing with. You want to bring some of that to the table when you start going out and trying to get students to come to your university. Class credits, alumni network. Gamers love to help other gamers. So that's a really good way to tap into the alumni association for your college and university. And then of course, philanthropy. That's a huge way, right, to give back to the community. And then you can do it through your gaming network as well. Again, like we said before, there's several different nonprofit organizations aimed at philanthropic events. So for the future, again, we're looking at those international studies. There's other things, expeditions, large scale events, so if you have an event center or if you want to put something on and really showcase your talent, you can do that. And it's really amazing. So playing to win. Basically, you want to go beyond the standards of college esports. You really want to enhance that student experience. And build community. So where are we going to play? We have to really think about that. Industry standard is going to drive those program requirements. Results are going to be aligned to university policies, their priorities, their community and industry needs, and then the student interests. It's not a one model fits all. It depends really on your community and your university, what your needs are, what your goals are. You want to unite and unify the university and the community, right? As we all know, the stronger that community and university relationship is, the more you're going to get back, right? So give and get back. You want to make sure that you're building a cohesive and knowledgeable leadership team. I cannot stress that to you enough. I've seen people that kind of get thrown into the mix and say, I don't know what I'm doing. And you can kind of survive for a little while, but are you going to thrive? Maybe not, right? So make sure that you're tapping into those resources that are really valuable for your success. Building that trust, engagement, and collaboration with all stakeholders equally. So again, try to avoid those top-down decision-making. Of course, there are going to be some decisions you just have to do that way because that's just the way things work. But really try to involve your student leadership and your student voice. That's really going to help you be and create a successful program. And then make sure that you have a steering advisory board, right? That consists of students, that consists of faculty, administration, and even some of your like the esports professionals or folks that are in the space that are donating or sponsoring some of those events. So Gordon, I'll let you take this off here.
Yeah, no, thank you, Donna. That's great. So the next steps for partnering with us too is that we are going to be putting on more events and activations to showcase a lot of this activity. And so we want you to come along with us and be part of that. So we want to enhance students' experiences through esports by creating those cool engagements, whether it's interactions with traditional sports athletes. Because again, we're trying to do a lot of efforts to build the credibility of esports, and a way to do that is to show that, hey, a lot of competitive athletes understand the nature of gaming, and they want to be part of it. And so it's a perfect kind of tie-in for us. We want to engage the students by meeting them where they are, meaning that whatever university has a club or activities currently happening, we want to help them showcase those existing events, but also create new and innovative events that maybe they didn't think of. And then give those college to career experiences by bringing in industry leaders. So doing efforts like we're doing today with the Riverside County Esports Symposium, bringing in efforts to educate. I think it's something we have dedicated to every single event that we do, is have some kind of webinar or in-person panel to discuss those benefits beyond just the gameplay, which I think is really important for the students to hear how they can benefit. And they're often amazed by, like, you mean I could do this for a living, or I could be a component of this for a living? And like, yeah, I don't have to be a pro player in order to continue to be involved in esports.
Yeah, so, remember that iceberg.
Yeah, remember the iceberg. So also to connect with the campus and community for that symbiotic relationship, I think that is critical, because what we see is you may have a great club or team today, but if you have no foundation or basis for it to carry on, your university club or team may not exist tomorrow. So what are you doing to engage at the administrative level, to put advisors in place, those kind of critical areas that are going to be essential to build out your team or your club. So that's something we want to do. Both Don and I are committed to helping colleges, universities, whether it's a community college level or even at the university level, or even high schools who are looking, to improve their clubs so that they can send their students to some of these opportunities that exist in college. We want to be able to promote scholarships and an opportunity to pay for funding for your schooling, just like traditional sport. Not everybody's going to be an all-star football player or basketball player, but literally there is huge interest right now for students who are good at different games that they can actually get monies to help pay for their schooling. And I think that is something we really should be promoting and encouraging. And so you'll see a lot of that coming from us. Here's a way you can connect with both Donna and myself. Please find us on LinkedIn or on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I think also the profile within the Riverside Symposium today, you can find our different profiles to connect with us directly. So we would encourage that. Please shoot me a note or shoot Donna a note if you want us to follow up, or maybe bring some of this information to a school or a company or one of your business partners who may be hungry for this esports information. We would love to be a resource for you. So please connect with us, and we'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. And, we have just a couple minutes for some questions. I know and recognize we threw a ton of information at you. So feel free to, oh, thank you. I love my taquito burrito Twitter handle.
Oh, you're not talking about mine, who are also, my ours are so original. They're all
taquito, right? But yeah, so I know we threw a lot of information. Feel free to put some questions in the chat if you have them that you'd like to say, with as much time as our moderator, our amazing moderator, Gabby, was willing to give us. But as Gordon said, please, we are always open to conversations. So you're welcome to reach out to us through any of those means as well.
Yeah, whatever questions we can answer here, we're happy to always respond privately. I know Donna's the same as I am in that regard. So we love to hear from you on LinkedIn, and even through traditional methods. If you want to reach out and get our direct contact information, we're happy to connect with you.
Fantastic. And yeah, happy to stick around for as long as Gabby wants to keep this room open. I know that there are lots of other extremely valuable and wonderful speakers here. So you're welcome to hang around for a little bit and answer ask any questions that we can answer. Again, thank you for bearing with us as we threw all that stuff at you.
Thank you. And I'll give a couple more plugs too, because we do have some events coming up. So if you're in Sacramento, come visit us at the Rock and Soul Virtual Diner, where we have now an esports lounge where we're doing activity regularly. And that's on 10th and S Street in downtown Sacramento. Also, we're going to be involved with our partners from ViewSonic coming up in January with LandFest at the HyperX Arena in Vegas. And also CSI will be putting on a Rocket League tournament at the Level Up Expo in Vegas, February 17th through 19th. So if you want any of that information, we're going to be sharing more at www.cesiesports.com. And you'll see a lot more information coming from us on that as well. But thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we're excited to be part of this event today.